Hi, sweet friends. So it is a little after 3, and I hope this video is okay. I came outside because it's a little crazy in my house. It's a little crazy. I got one still doing her work that she's been at since early this morning, but she's in high school, so it's a little different situation. And one doing his chores, and my old man's still working from home. Oh, Bane. Bane may not let me do this out here. Y'all want to say hi to Bane? Say hi to Bane. Bane likes to bark. And when he stops, he doesn't often stop. So I may have to change locations and try this again. Let's give him just a second, see if he calms down. Sometimes he'll calm down when I'm outside, and sometimes he'll bark the whole time. Oh, I think he may be calming down. Oh, good. All right, so we are going to get to stay outside. I was hoping so because it's even louder in the house right now. So last book for today. If you did any of the art projects, if you did anything fun, let me know. For my kids, I'm going to check my Prodigy and my Head Sprouts and my Happy Numbers and post those leaders here in just a few minutes when I finish up this book. I hope your Link to Learns went well today. I haven't heard from too many today. I heard from a bunch yesterday. Let me know if there's anything I can do to support you through this time. And let's read the winner for this evening, Curious George, H.A. Wright. So my kids in one of my reading groups have just finished this book, well, a part of one of the Curious George books last week. So it did not surprise me at all that this one won. It's a little bit longer, though, because it's actually a whole Curious George book, not just an excerpt. I think you're going to love it. I know I did. And then in the morning, we'll start at 9 a.m. with Walter the Farting Dog. And let me tell you, I will be going tomorrow to return all of the books that I have read so far to the library. So if there's one of them you were wanting to read, Bane, no. I can't block him. I think the dog's peeing in the background. Welcome to real life. Hey, Arlie Mae. I'll be returning all the books I've read so far. So if you're interested in checking any of those out on your own, then you can call the library and go by and pick those up. I know they kind of have a curbside pickup program going on. And I actually talked to Miss Misty, the librarian, today. And she is hooking me up with a whole bunch of new books to start with tomorrow after we read Walter the Farting Dog. But here we go. Without further ado, we are going to read Curious George. Hopefully without too many interruptions. You never know. Curious George. This is George. He lived in Africa. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. One day, George saw a man. He had on a large yellow straw hat. The man saw George too. What a nice little monkey, he thought. I would like to take him home with me. He put his hat on the ground, and of course, George was curious. He came down from that tree to look at the large yellow hat. I think I can get the pictures in on this one. It seems like it's just pictures on one page. Yeah, there we go. The hat had been on the man's head, and George thought it would be nice to have it on his own head. He picked it up and put it on. The hat covered George's head. He couldn't see. The man picked him up quickly and popped him into a bag. George was caught. Oh, no. The man with the big yellow hat put George into a little boat, and a sailor rowed them both across the water to a big ship. George was sad, but he was still a little curious. On the big ship, things began to happen. The man took off the bag. George sat on a little stool, and the man said, George, I'm going to take you to a big zoo in a big city. You will like it there. Now run along and play, but don't get into trouble. George promised to be good, but it's very easy for little monkeys to forget. We find the sweet spot here. On the deck, he found some seagulls. He wondered how they could fly. He was very curious. Finally, he had to try. It looked easy, but What do you think happened? What do you think happened next? I bet Alana knows and she's watching. I bet she has an idea. Oh, what happened? First this. Look at him flying. Then this. Oh, no. Where is George? The sailors looked and looked, and at last they saw him struggling in the water and almost all tired out. Can you see him? You are correct, Arlie Mae. You are correct, Alana. Man overboard, the sailors cried as they threw him a lifebelt. George caught it and held on. At last, he was safe on board. Look, do you see him? He's like throwing up fish in water. The illustrations on this one are pretty good. After that, George was more careful to be a good monkey until at last the long trip was over. George said goodbye to the kind sailors, and he and the man with the yellow hat walked off the ship to the shore and on into the city to the man's house. After a good meal and a good pipe, George felt very tired. Look at the monkey in his pajamas right there. He crawled into bed and fell asleep all at once. All right, girls who are answering my questions here, give me one reason why this book is fiction. Just one good reason. Arlie, I don't think they hear me. Give me one good reason why this is fiction. You can type it in while I keep reading. The next morning, the man telephoned the zoo. George watched him. He was fascinated. Then the man went away. George was curious. He wanted the telephone too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, what fun. Ding-a-ling-a-ling, ding-a-ling-a-ling. George had telephoned the fire station. The firemen rushed to the telephone. Hello, hello, they said. But there was no answer. They looked for the signal. On the big map, it showed where the telephone call had come from. They didn't know it was George. They thought it was a real fire. Hurry, 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 hurry. The firemen jumped on the fire engines and down to the hook and ladders. Ding dong, everyone out of the way. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Arlie Mae, that would be a very good reason. Monkeys can't talk. But I have a question. Did a monkey talk in this? Think about it. The firemen rushed into the house. They opened the door. No fire. Only a naughty little monkey. Oh, catch him, they cried. George tried to run away. He almost did, but he got caught in the telephone wire. And you are correct, Arlie. So if that didn't happen in the story, is there a reason in the story that this would be fiction? Use text evidence, big girl. A thin fireman caught one arm and a fat fireman caught another. You fooled the fire department, they said. We will have to shut you up or you can't do any more harm. They took him away and shut him into a prison. How do you think he feels alone? Look at that picture. What kind of feelings do you think he's having in that picture? Know how I'd feel, but you tell me. I'm not going to tell you what I think. George wanted to get out. He climbed up the window to try the bars. Just then the watchman came in. He got on the wooden bed to catch George, but he was too big and heavy, and the bed tipped over, and the watchman fell over. And as quick as lightning, George ran out through the open door. Off goes George. Hey, I like that answer, Alana. Monkeys do not usually get put in jail, she says. She's probably right. I've never seen a monkey in jail. Maybe we can tag one of our local jailers and see if they've ever arrested a monkey. He hurried through the building and out onto the roof. And then he was lucky to be a monkey because out he walked onto the telephone wires. Quickly and quietly over the guard's head, George walked away. He was free. Down the street outside the prison wall stood a balloon man, and a little girl bought a balloon for her brother. George watched. He was curious again. When George is curious, do good things often happen? Or not so good things? He felt he must have a bright red balloon, and he reached over and tried to help himself. But I gotta get used to doing the backwards thing here. But what? What happened? Instead of one balloon, you don't want to know what happens. Do you really want to know? Do you really want to know what happens? Nobody wants to know? Okay. Well, we'll just stop right there. Oh, okay. Instead of one balloon, the whole bunch broke loose. And in an instant, the wind whisked them all away, and with them went George, holding tight with both hands. So glad y'all wanted to know. What does that remind you of? That reminds me of a movie. I bet one of y'all immediately think of it. But it wasn't a monkey flying away in the movie. I've always wondered if you could really do that. I think there's a YouTube video about that too. I'm going to have to look that up when I'm done. Isn't it neat how when you're reading, like it makes you think of other things that you could explore? Or is that just me too? Up, up he sailed, higher and higher. The houses looked like little toy houses, and the people like little dolls. George was frightened. He held on very tight. Look at how little everything looks. At first, the wind blew in great gusts, and then it quieted. Finally, it stopped blowing altogether. Down, down he went, bump, onto the top of a traffic light. Everyone was surprised, and the traffic got all mixed up. George didn't know what to do, and then he heard someone call, "George! George!" He looked down and saw, who do you think he saw? I know. Wonder who he saw. I'll give you a second to think about it. See it? He saw, go that way and up, the man in the big yellow hat. George was very happy. The man was happy too. George slid down the post, and the man with the big yellow hat put his arm under him. Then he paid the man with the balloons for all the balloons that George had lost. And then George and the man climbed in the car, and at last, away they went. There they are. I like that car. Blue car. Wonder if I can have a blue car. Where do you think they went? It said away they went. They went to the zoo. What a nice place for George to live. The end. Now, my friends who have been with me the past couple of weeks at school know that that is not where Curious George's story starts. That is the very first book in a series of Curious George books. And I can't remember. We read about it. I'm thinking it said there was over 40 books that Margaret and H.A. Ray eventually wrote about Curious George. It was in the front of our green reading book, but I'd have to look it up. And there's movies, and there's series, and there's short films, and cartoons, and comics. Curious George became quite a character, but this book right here, this is where it all started. This is the first one. So, my friends, if you want to do some more exploring Curious George, I don't know if our library in town here has any. I know there is a ton of Curious George stuff on YouTube for free. I will try to do some commenting and some tagging in the links of this one I posted up to our class page of some other neat Curious George things. I hope you enjoyed the first Curious George book in the series. Remember, if you need me, I'm a phone call away or a Facebook message away or a seesaw away. And I'm going to get off here now so I can go check my final numbers for Prodigy and Head Sprouts for my friends in my class today. And I will see you all again in the morning about 9 o'clock. We'll have coffee and maybe you'll have chocolate milk with me or hot chocolate, even better. I'll see you then. Have a good evening, guys.